Hey, what's up? It's Symphony here. Subscribe to my brother Mr. Creepy as Hell channel, and when you're watching his videos, make sure you stay in one piece. Peace, peace, peace.
My name is Peter, and what I went through was something that was so horrifying that they made me sign a non-disclosure agreement. But right now, I'm dying from cancer and I only have days left to live. And I decided to go ahead and share with you about what happened. I figured that they couldn't get me anyway. I'm already dying, so there's nothing they can do to me. This happened 25 years ago. It was back in 2000. I was heading up to space with a few of my friends, Reggie, Roger, and Alvin. Those are my three best friends at the time. We were all excited. We won a prize at a game show, and we won a trip to space. We were over the moon, pun intended, and we were very excited about this experience. We went to the space station launch, and we got prepared. We put on our suits, and everything was set up for us. There was plenty of food, and we had plenty of supplies, so we were good for the next week. I got inside the spaceship, and I waited for my other three friends, Alvin, Reggie, and Roger. A couple of minutes later, all three of them came, laughing and excited, just as I was. "Alright, motherfuckers, who's ready to go to space?" my friend Reggie asked.
"Well, me, of course."
Hell yeah, let's do this shit.
Roger and Alvin eagerly responded. Then all three of them looked at me. I breathed really deep and I said, "I guess I'm ready to go too, guys."
It don't seem like it. You seem a little scared.
Roger teased at me. Well, of course I'm fucking scared. I mean, we're traveling outside of the Earth. We're gonna be in space. Many things could happen. What if we lose air supplies? What if we... Whoa, Peter, come on, chill, okay? You worry too much, okay? Nothing's gonna happen to us, alright? We're good. We're in good hands. They're watching us. We have plenty of supplies. Everything's good. We got plenty of oxygen. We're all good. Stop worrying. Just fucking relax, dude, Reggie said while cutting me off. One thing about Reggie is I could tell instantly that he may have smoked some weed. He was always the laid-back guy that just smoked weed and never took life too serious. I envy him sometimes.
Reggie, you're high, aren't you?
Roger asked Reggie.
Yeah, it does seem like you're just a little high. I don't know.
Alvin added. I might have taken one or two puffs, and besides, I'm gonna be without it for a couple of days, so I just wanted to be a tiny bit high before we got on this trip. I mean, honestly, we are gonna be very high up in the sky. Get it? You're all gonna be high, Reggie said while trying to make an attempt to make a high joke. But at the time, we all thought it was very corny. But looking back on that now, I kinda wish I could hear his corny jokes about getting high. I miss hearing them. A few moments later, we all buckled in as the rocket was getting ready to blast off. The rocket ship that we was on was not your typical rocket ship. It was really big, like a cruise ship, but except this cruise ship flies in outer space. It had about 18 seats in case more people wanted to come, but it was only the four of us. It had 3 bathrooms, and it had a kitchen, and it had 6 rooms altogether. Once we made it into outer space, we unbuckled our seatbelts. This ship was designed where when we got up in space, the gravity would still remain the same, meaning that we weren't floating like you usually do on a regular spaceship. This one was built with a lot of money, but between you and me, the world doesn't know about this, only the higher ups, and myself included. But I'm not really supposed to say anything about this ship existing. That was also a part of the non-disclosure agreement. Once we got done unbuckling, we all headed into our rooms, admiring the ship and how big it was. We went in there to sleep for a couple of hours, then eventually all of us woke up. we woke up to Reggie making us dinner. He was a really good cook, and that day, he made something that was one of our favorites. It was noodles with shrimp and sausage and eggs. He made sure to put green peppers on it, and he loads it up with vegetables on top. It was something that I love. I could smell the aroma coming into my room and through the hallway. "All right, boys, come and get it. Dinner is served," Reggie announced. Me and Roger came down quickly to get our food, and we began to eat. As we were eating, we noticed that Alvin didn't join us. So Reggie called out for him. "Hey, Alvin, come on. Come to the kitchen. Food is ready. It's your favorite," Reggie shouted, but there was no sign of Alvin. Let me go check in on him. Maybe he's asleep," I said to Reggie and Roger.
Nah, Peter, you stay here and eat your food. I'll go check in on him. Plus, I gotta ask him a question about something anyway. I'll be back.
"Okay, if you insist," I said to Roger as he was getting up, heading towards the hallway, going into Alvin's room. As he checked in on Alvin, me and Reggie were talking, but our conversation got interrupted when we heard Roger yelling. Me and Roger looked at each other with wide eyes, looking frightened, and then we jumped up from the table, our chairs knocking down onto the floor, and we ran into Alvin's room. As we were running, we smelled something that was horrific. It was nauseating. We ran, and we saw Roger with his hands over his mouth, looking shocked and scared. He pointed towards Alvin's bed, and we looked, and what we saw is something I will never forget, and it stayed with me for those last 20 years. Alvin was laying in bed, deceased, but that wasn't the shocker. The shocker was he was dead with his eyes wide open like he saw something horrible. But then we looked in his mouth, and it looked like some sort of tentacles. It looked like octopus tentacles. They were moving around in his mouth as black drool was coming out of Alvin's deceased mouth. We closed the door to his room quickly, and we all ran into the kitchen. Our breaths were jagged, and my heart felt like it was gonna beat to the point it was gonna rupture. I could not say anything. We were all shocked, trying to process what we just saw. Reggie was the first to speak.
"Dude, what the fuck is going on? Alvin is dead, but what the hell is that coming out of his mouth?"
"I don't know what the fuck is going on. Look, we're gonna have to abandon the trip. We gotta go back to Earth, man. We can't stay here. We got a dead body in there. I don't know how he died. No one else is in here. At least I thought. You think there's something else roaming around in here? What is that? What was coming out of his mouth?"
"Oh man, Alvin is dead,"
I said, trying to process everything that just happened. And before Reggie could say anything, we heard Roger grunting in pain.
Oh, guys, something's wrong with my stomach. I feel like I'm gonna hurl. Something's moving around in it. Ow!
Roger, are you okay? Roger, what's going on, man? Before Roger can speak, his stomach exploded. There was blood mixed in with a black liquidy substance. It was everywhere in the kitchen. And then his stomach gave way to tentacles, the same ones that came out of Alvin's mouth. Roger was dead, but the tentacles were still moving around.
"Oh shit, man. Nah, something's going on. There's some kind of virus or some creature going around doing this. Look, man, I don't know, man. I don't want to be here. We gotta do something, Peter. We gotta think.
Reggie, stop talking for a moment. Let's think. I think the best thing we need to do is go in the control system, and we need to quarantine. I don't know, maybe this is spread by some viral infection or something. I don't know what's going on, but we don't have time to panic. We need to hurry. I stopped mid-sentence when I saw something very creepy. Roger's body began to move.
It wasn't moving on its own. The tentacles that was attached into his intestines was moving, but his body was moving along with it. And then I looked towards the doorway of the kitchen, and I saw Alvin. He was laying down on the floor, but moving. And just like with Roger, the tentacles from his mouth was moving, making it seem like he was just moving slowly on the floor. Me and Reggie immediately ran and went inside the control room and locked the door. We quarantined for a bit. As we were sitting there thinking what was going to be our next move, we heard noises behind the door. It was knocking, but me and Reggie didn't dare to open the door. We stayed there as we changed the course of the ship, and we made our way towards Earth. It took about 2 days to get there. On the second day, we were near Earth, and we were going to land in a couple of hours. I looked towards Reggie as he was sleeping, and I noticed that he was sweating. We didn't hear any more noises in the back of the door. As I was praying and hoping that we can make it out safe, that's when horror struck. And Reggie looked towards me, and he said something that to this day chilled at me to the bones. Peter, I think something is happening to me. I feel something moving around in my ears. Reggie, what's going on? And before Reggie could say anything, Reggie's ears popped out of his head and blood rushed out of where his ears used to be. It sprayed the whole control room red, and then it was black. And then the tentacles began to spread out of the holes where his ears used to be at. And that's when I had to do something I didn't want to do. Me and Reggie made a bet to one another that if one of us becomes infected with these tentacle-like creatures, that we were going to draw a gun and shoot that person. Unfortunately, nothing ever happened to me, but I had to carry out what Reggie wanted me to do. So I grabbed a gun that was inside of a drawer near the control buttons, and I turned off the safety, and I shot him twice, and I shot the tentacles. They died eventually. They stopped moving. I was really heartbroken that I had to kill my friend. Then I slowly opened up the door, and Roger and Alvin greeted me, or their bodies. The tentacles began to spread more around them, and I had to do something I didn't want to do. I shot both of them, or the tentacles that was possessing their dead bodies, and eventually the tentacles died, and their bodies just laid there motionless. I eventually made it to planet Earth, and I got out of the spaceship onto the space station. That's where some men in black came up to me, and they kidnapped me. Well, took me by force. They put a black bag over me so I wouldn't see where they were taking me. And then when they took it off, I was in some kind of interrogation room. They told me to explain to them about what happened, and I told them. They also told me that I wasn't going to speak about anything that happened. They made me sign a non-disclosure agreement. And afterwards, they also paid me $50 million just to really encourage me to keep my mouth shut. And I kept it shut for 20 years. Until now. Now, I did say the reason why I'm talking about this and breaking my non-disclosure agreement is because I'm dying from cancer. That is true. But I also feel something moving in my body. It tickles and it's uncomfortable. Something wants to come out. And I'm just gonna let it happen. I'm already dying.